As we're going from the first to the second to the third, we'll use the invocation that I'm going to associate with the third chakra. This is the Gayatri mantra. So please bring your hands together at your heart. And we can sing together. Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Suvah Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. With your exhale, you may bow your head to your heart. And I'll ask you to appreciate your efforts to be here this morning. That represents discernment in action on behalf of your practice and your path, your journey in yoga. So you may release your hands, open your eyes. So discernment is one of the imperatives at the third chakra, our ability to practice healthy discernment. Discerning, as we say, between what is real and what is unreal, discerning between what is finite and what is infinite, discerning between that which is skillful, that which is non-skillful. But also discernment here at the third chakra is really discerning in ourselves. What is our contribution, our purpose? What is the Dharma that wants to come through us? And if that's supported by the second and the first chakra, then we'll have a sense of permission for that Dharma to come through, to express itself. We won't necessarily feel burdened by it, like some people feel they have this purpose, but they're kind of burning out, making it happen. That would represent some work that needs to be done at the second chakra and the first chakra. Nor would we have a sense of like aggrandizement about it at the third chakra. That would be like too much self in there. And that's an effort also to try to meet some unmet needs at the second chakra. And at the third chakra with this expression, we also wouldn't feel like we have a sense of ownership over it. Like it's a feeling that it's coming through us. And again, that possibility is supported at the second chakra and the first chakra. So these are all interrelated. They're also developmental stages in a life and in an organization and in a relationship and in a season in your life. You can revisit these developmental stages also. So that being said, in your comfortable seat as you are now, please clasp the hands and push forward. And then round the spine like cat pose, which we were doing also yesterday. Breathe into the back hemisphere of your body and focus on breathing into the kidneys especially. And exhale completely and draw the low belly in. Zip it up towards the solar plexus. And then inhale, rise up to your seat. Press up through the crown of your skull, the heels of your hands, the centers of your palms. And when you're lifting the torso like this, lift the rib cage circumferentially. So it's the back, the sides, and the front. You can think of it like a parachute. Generally speaking, the parachute is circumferential, not supporting you more on one side than the other. And then exhale, push out. Interlace your fingers at the small of your back. And like with yesterday, now I'd like you to inhale, roll up. And if your knuckles reach the floor behind you or the seat of the chair or a block, then go ahead and use that support. And as you raise up through your heart, check in with the first chakra, the base, the second, and the third. And then exhale and bring yourself upright. Release the clasp of your hands to rest in your lap. And just drop down to notice the first, second, third, this region, we call these the earth-bound chakras. What that means is when we do our work well in these chakras, we get to transcend past the diaphragm to the heavenly chakras above. So I'm going to ask you now to come to kneeling. You also can stay seated in a chair. You could have kneeling with a blanket between your hips and heels like this, or right behind the knees like that, or you could sit on a block if you would prefer that. And then take your fists like this, and we're going to be going up the right side of the belly, across and down the left side. The third chakra is also the center for digestion. Right now we're tracing up the ascending colon, across, transverse, and then down the descending. That's why we're going in this direction, and we're not going to reverse it. We only go in one direction for this. One more time. Pause. Notice the aliveness there. And then come forward any amount that you can or need to. And if you'd like, you can support your head on a block or on a chair in front of you. And we're going to use the back of the body. So going the same direction, up the right side, across, and down the left side. And then finishing that, please roll up to kneeling. Check and see how you are feeling. Notice that that rhymes. I don't know which chakra is for goofiness. I'll have to ask Debu. Okay, now the fire chakra, the element of the third chakra is fire. It makes sense to do a little bit of work with breath of fire. So I'm going to ask you to place your hands on your shoulders. We're going to go side to side, Kapalabhati. I hope this feels more like limber to you or more awake and vital for you. Let's begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to center, please. Inhale, full inhale up to suspension. Lift the heart to brighten the chest. Exhale completely. And deeply relax the mind. And now again, place your hands, please. We're clearing out energy. You can think of it like cleaning the dust on a mirror so you can see more clearly. We're clearing out. We're not trying to rev up particularly, but to clear out. Let's begin. Five, four, three, two, one. Again, come to center. Inhale up to suspension. Use the Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha for the suspension. Exhale completely and slowly. Now please open your eyes so you can see what we'll do next. We do have the hips, knees, and ankles compressed on purpose. We will release that shortly. We're going to take the back of the left hand around the outside of the right thigh and slide the fingers in between the hamstring and the calf. If you're sitting in a chair, just reach under your thigh to do it that way. So otherwise, place your fingers. So you've got your hand kind of bound right there. And as this arm crosses, it's encouraging a side bend to your left. Take your right hand and press down. So you're just pulsing down through the left forearm. And for some of us, what's going to happen is that just doing this a few times means that how you could place your fingers might be a little bit more secure if you do it one more time. So for me, this time I'm able to get my thumb also in there, whereas the first time I didn't get it because this elasticity wasn't quite ready. And please side bend to your left. Open the right side belly to the breath. Raise your right arm. Notice that there is compression on the left side of the belly. In contrast, it's open on the right side. And then exhale, come up to center. Release your left hand. Pause with both hands in your lap. And then the right hand. So you can either pick up and slide it in between the calf and fingers if you're kneeling, or if you're sitting in a chair, slide it to the outside of your thigh. And then we do these little pulsations. So these first few practices this morning are really about the inner body of yoga. I know you might feel you're stretching the musculoskeletal body in this side bend, but more than that, we're looking at how the side bend influences the inner body. So if you think you got a little bit more elasticity and you'd like to get more of your hand in there, come forward and then place with a more secure grip. And then you're going to be side bending to your right. You will compress the right side belly. You are opening the left side belly. Raise your left arm if you like. I don't expect that it's your most comfortable side bend ever. And I'm not saying that all yoga practices are pleasurable. But feel into where you can breathe into the inner belly and the side waist. And then inhale up to center. Use your left hand where you need to for support to release your right hand and come back to kneeling for a moment. Now take one blanket, one more compression, then we're going to release the legs, I promise. So take one blanket and roll it snugly. And how thick you roll it, like how much blanket there is really going to depend on your hip waist distance right here. So bring this up and over, and then lay the belly button on the blanket roll and place your head on the block in front of you, or on a second chair in front of you. So this is compression on the lower belly. We don't want your floating ribs to feel compromised here. So if you made the blanket roll too big, and let's say that your floating ribs feel like, oh, they can't really accept the blanket, then make your blanket roll smaller. And then walk your hands back to your knees. Please rise up from where you are and promptly come down to lie on your back. And notice when you lie down, you're going to have the release of energy going from the floating ribs, the kidneys, the solar plexus region, down the torso, down the legs, down to your feet. Allow for that to happen, and imagine that the mind is putting in the stream some of the debris that you no longer need, and you're just tossing it into the stream, going down and going down. So the fire element that burns the seeds of thoughts we no longer want to indulge, the water element takes that debris downstream and it's carried beyond. You please keep the left leg grounded. Pick up your right knee and hug it in towards your chest. Okay, breathe in, make the left leg strong, and as I said, grounded. And when you exhale, curl your knee to your nose and your nose to your knee. Then inhale, roll your upper back to the floor. Exhale, curl back up. Inhale, roll down. So we want to keep the sacrum and the lumbar spine and the kidneys stable. So you're really moving the upper hemisphere of the torso. Keep the left leg also grounded. Go up with one more exhale. Inhale, roll back down. Release your right leg to the floor. Bring your left knee up to your chest. Energize the right leg so it lays out firmly on the ground as well as you can. And then again, keeping the sacrum, lumbar spine, kidneys, mid to lower abdominal region stable. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, roll down. Follow the cycle of your breath, please. Even though we're practicing together, each of us does have a biorhythm that is our own. Let's do it one more time, please. So exhale to curl up. And inhale to roll back down. And lay the left leg back out on the floor. That practice is also for the ascending, transverse, and descending colon. It's actually called Apanasana, that particular practice. Supports Apanavayu. Okay, let's please momentarily return to the seat where you began your practice. Or you can come to kneeling if that's comfortable for you. And I'd like us just to check in once more with the chakras before we go to a more active or extravagant practice. So bring your awareness down to the base. Drop down there and try to sense between a more tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic experience. What's happening now? And then check in with the second, the water element, Svadhisthana. And then check in with the third, called Manipurna. The jewel is in the lotus. Remember, I said last week that the lotus blooms in the mud. And that is from the first and second chakras, the earth and the water, the mud. We come up to the third chakra, Manipurna, the jewel in the lotus. Okay, now we're going to come forward to downward facing dog pose. So come to your hands and knees, please. Spread your fingers wide. I gotta find a little spot here on my mat. There we go. Will that work for you? All is good? Okay, pressing into both hands. Please raise the hips high into downward facing dog pose. Now bring your awareness down into the first, the pelvic floor, Muladhara. And with your sitting bones, start to make a tiny circle in one direction. And the other direction. That small circle is going to influence your hips and your pelvis, your ankles and your feet. Go to the first direction again. And then bring awareness to your sacrum, and right where the sacrum meets the lumbar spine, or to make a circle there. If you don't have a lot of movement there, it's okay, understandable. Try changing directions and see what kind of movement you can encourage. Almost like you were using the jump rope. Change the direction again. And then bring awareness up to the third chakra, and with the ribs, make a circle again. It's possible that this is the largest of the circles that you're making, and it's going to influence your body, more of your body. Let's change the direction. And then bring that to stillness in your downward dog pose. Please enjoy a deep breath in. And walk your feet and your hands towards each other, please, and come to Uttanasana. Shift your hands to your hips and rise up to standing. Okay, all the way up. And now for Surya Namaskar. Let's put some blocks on the mat at the front. I'll be stepping over a kitten. Maybe you have similar obstacles to step over. In Surya Namaskar this morning, we're going to include Warrior 2 and Warrior 1. So first chakra, Warrior 1, second chakra, Warrior 2. If we're doing well and we don't feel overheated or overwhelmed, if we're not making too much rajas, then we'll step into Warrior 3 and we'll see what that's like too. So your practice should not be obligated to a theology, but really tuned into your body, to the experiences that you actually are having. So join your palms together at your heart. My kitten is having a bath right there behind my feet. All righty. Her name is Nandita, which means smile. And I gave her a prefix name, Gita Nandita, which means song and smile. Gita is song and Nandita is smile or joy. So there she is, joyfully bathing. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Stabilize your legs, come into Uttanasana. Inhale forward with your heart. Exhale, left toes straight back. Inhale to rise, crescent. Beautiful. Exhale, wide, forward and down. We're going to inhale to the plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, cow pose. Touch your knees down, bring your heart forward. Inhale to seal pose. Exhale, plank. Inhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Okay, left foot forward. Inhale to rise, crescent. Exhale, descend. Touching the blocks lightly this time. Inhale, right foot forward, heart forward. Exhale for a deep bow to the legs. Okay, rising up, Urdhva Hastasana. To the heart, Anjali Mudra. Rising up. Chair pose. Rising up. Uttanasana, keeping the Ujjayi breath simple, steady. The consistency is very important. Inhale, glide forward. Allow for the inhale pause. Exhale, right toes back first this time. Inhale to rise, crescent. So lovely. Exhale, arms wide, forward and down. Plank pose. Downward facing dog pose. Plank pose. Come smoothly forward without any sense of grasping. Cow pose. Inhale to seal pose. Shoulders back, heart forward, gaze up. Exhale, plank. Inhale, downward facing dog. Right foot forward. Rising up. And arms wide, forward and down. Beautiful. Okay, let's step forward. Left foot forward, heart forward. And deeply bow to your legs. Inhale, rise up. And hands to the heart. Now we're going to add warrior two to the sequence. So breathing in, root down, wide, and up. Sit down to chair pose. Respect the exhale pause when you get there, so you're not rushing by it. Inhale, rise, root into your heels, your toes, energize your legs. Exhale, bow forward. Uttanasana, again, completing and respecting the exhale to the exhale pause. Inhale, glide forward. Okay, left toes back, the crescent lunges first. Inhale to rise. And then warrior two. Rotate your torso, your hips, your legs. Press into your left heel behind you. Yeah. Turn the right hand skyward. Inhale, rise. It's called rising warrior. Exhale, level, just warrior itself. Follow your breath again. Inhale to rise, root into your right heel, please. Exhale, level off, open the left side waist, tone the right side waist. Once more. So when you're going up, you're shortening the left side waist, excuse me, expanding the right side waist. And then exhale, level off deliberately, tone the right belly, and broaden the left belly. Okay. And then windmill the arms over, and step backwards to plank pose. And then exhale, downward facing dog pose. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, cow pose. Touch the knees down, arch your spine, open your heart and your throat. And then inhale, come forward to seal pose. And exhale, plank. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. Okay, exhale, left foot forward. Keep the right toes grounded and rise to your crescent first. Now aiming the left knee straight on. When you open to warrior two, start the opening actually from the arms, the chest, the heart, then your pelvis, and then the back heel is the last thing to find your way. Turn the left hand skyward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale to level. Now tone the left side belly here and expand the right side. Inhale, rise up. Exhale to level. Once more, inhale, rise up. And exhale to level. Windmill your arms over and touch the two blocks. Great. Inhale, step forward. And deeply bow towards your legs. Inhale, rise up. And hands to your heart. There's a practice in the transition between warrior two and the floor that I want us to review so that when we do warrior three, you'll have a sense of the kidneys and the back of the body, right? So if you'll keep your right foot forward, please, and step your left foot back like you've just come down from warrior two. So put the back heel, left heel to the floor like warrior two, and you've just come down with your windmill. Let's use the fingertips and press into your fingertips to start broadening the back of your body. So almost like you're taking the spine to cow pose. Even though you're taking the the cat pose spine, your pelvis is still in warrior two. So what you have here is your left hip is going to be a little bit higher than your right. The left sideways and the left kidney will be a little bit more broad. So let's accentuate the cat pose on the left side of the body, left hemisphere of your torso. Gaze back towards your left heel. It's one way to include the head and the neck and even your eyes in the cat pose. Now release your left fingertips from the block and let them hang for a moment between the block and your right ankle. Begin to reach your left fingertips down towards the floor without changing your pelvis, your legs, or even the lumbar spine that much. As you reach down, think of it coming from the mid to upper back, left shoulder girdle. Keep the right arm strong, please. And then raise your left arm forward like an arrow without causing the lumbar spine to arch. So you still have a sense of that cat pose spine on the left lower lumbar. And then return your left fingertips to the block. And let's pivot the left heel up. Step forward, we'll change sides. Take the right heel back to warrior two. Place your fingertips on your block. Good. And then again, we're going to press down with both arms into the fingertips and the thumbs. Round the back of your body. Gaze back towards your right heel. And as your back waist is broad like that, keep pressing into your left heel and your fingertips. And invite the right arm to dangle down. So the left arm's going to stay strong, please. And as you keep the right kidney and lower back broad, let the left arm stay again very steady, so it's really supporting the right kidney to stay expansive. Your right fingertips can come down towards the floor. And then start slowly raising your right arm forward without arching your lower back on the right side. So you want to make an effort for that to stay very broad. And then exhale and lower down. Now let's put the 2 blocks aside, please, and step backwards to your downward dog pose. Now in your downward dog pose, gaze back at your feet and your heels, and then broaden the back body again. So you can sense almost like a parachute rising there. The back waist being broad is something that you have some leadership about. You can maintain that with the breath and with your mind. See what happens now if you raise your right leg high. Because one of the things is that as you raise your right leg, if you arch your lower back, that is likely to happen when you go to Warrior 3. Very nice, good job. Yeah, you kept the back waist broad when you raised your right leg. For the most part, I can see that on people who have videos turned on. So let's now lower the right foot down and try raising your left leg high. Again, without arching your lower back, yeah. So what I'm seeing there is a thoughtfulness in your actions. And I'm sensing that you pause before that archy thing happens. And some of you found that you arched and then you kind of doubled back to check and see. Yeah. Very nice. And then lower your left foot back down to the floor. And please come down to child's pose and put 1 block for your head in child's pose. So you can feel the broadness of the back body, but also reflect on the kind of effort you were just making in your pose and in your body. The way you made the effort. I saw some specific levels of concentration there and an effort to stay within what I would call integrity in your alignment. To which I said, very nice, because it's a specific thing you were doing and it had this quality of clarity and intention. So now please walk your hands back towards your knees from child's pose and come up to kneeling. Okay, and you can watch here for a moment. So what we're going to do is take that kind of one-legged downward dog pose thing, and we're going to come forward, and then you'll see that I'm going to just step forward onto one leg and try to have the other leg horizontal behind me. So Warrior 3 is a pose that a lot of people, if we take the steps to get towards it, there can be like skill in action, the 3rd chakra. But there's a place where some of us sort of like the alignment collapses out, or we don't have a sense of where we are, and we should back up to the place where that skill in action is still embodied. We still sense it in ourselves. It will not feel like too much rajas. It will not become too much tamas. Okay, so when you are in a position like this and you raise one leg up behind you without causing the lumbar spine to arch and actually keeping your hips level here, we're then going to step forward. Now my blocks are going to go off the camera screen here because of the situation of where the camera is. But I just moved my 2 blocks forward, and then you step forward and press down into the standing leg. And notice that my hips are intending to be relatively level here. I'm not causing one to go up and one to go down. And that you want to also sense the broadness across the back of the waist right here. And then we'll bend the front knee. Take the toes way back, right where they were in the dog pose. And then you can step into directly your one-legged dog pose. Okay, so let's see how that goes. If you'll please come into your downward facing dog pose. I'm using the blocks because it makes my arms a little bit longer. I don't feel unstable on the blocks, and it helps with the gliding through and back. Okay, so this you're going to do at your own pace because everyone does have a little bit different breath cycle, but I'd recommend when you raise your right leg, it's with your inhalation. Yeah, that seems very thoughtful. Thank you. When you exhale, you'll bring your right foot forward whenever your exhale breath is. Good. Let's place the blocks about 10 inches ahead. Use both blocks. And with an inhale, you could launch yourself forward onto just your right leg. The left leg is floating, yes. So it's really beautiful how you've got the left leg actually horizontal. It need not go any higher. I'm also noticing that you're keeping your hips really level, and I'm seeing healthy concentration. So breathe in, acknowledge your own efforts in this regard. And then when you exhale, start bending the front knee and take your toes all the way back to the downward dog pose position. And then see if you can glide your right leg back and up into that one-legged dog pose. Yes, 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 like that. Good. And then touch the right foot down, please. And of course, again, at your own breath cycle, raise your left leg with an inhalation. Wonderful. So you've kept your left leg again in line with your spine and you're not overarching your lower back. Wonderful to see that. Let's bring the left foot forward at your own timing. Good. And then when you're ready to, you're going to step forward. So what I'm seeing now is a lot of strength in your standing leg and perhaps a good mental intention for that strength as well. While you keep the back waist broad and your back leg is hovering at about horizontal to the floor. Then take a deep breath in. And slowly bend your front knee to take the toes all the way back to where the dog pose was. Yes, thank you for your delicacy. I can see that. And then see if you might be able to swing your left leg all the way through back to the one-legged dog pose. Of course, repositioning your blocks to support you. Yes, very smooth. Wonderful to see that smoothness. And then touch your left foot down. Come forward momentarily to plank on your way to child's pose, where you're going to take the block one more time, a block under your head. So those are some of the steps of Warrior 3. See what your breath is doing now, what it's feeling like there now. And please walk your hands back towards your knees. And come to a place where you can be on your knees and elbows. And for those who have knee replacements, which is several of you, if you take a blanket, in fact, you can have 2 blankets. I'll just show the fold for one of them. What you can do is then you put your shins on the blanket, but the kneecaps are just off the front edge of the blanket. And come down to the elbows, please. Step your right foot out to the side. Reach back and check if you could level your hips once more, that your pelvis is neutral. The word we use is level. And strengthen and lengthen your upper inner right thigh down to your right heel. Please turn the right palm to be horizontal across your yoga mat. Take your left hand on a block next to your right hand. And begin twisting your pelvis, inner belly, then your back waist, and your heart to the left, which might be causing your right upper inner thigh to stretch oh so joyfully more. Let's keep the right forearm firm so you are pressing down there. And in this one, the sides of the waist can be relatively equal, so you aren't shortening one side or the other. Let's rotate back to center. Come to both elbows and step your right shin in and the left shin and foot out. And start by checking that your hips are pretty level. You can take your hand back there to investigate, and you can ask your cat or your house persons. Lengthen and strengthen the left upper inner thigh all the way down to your left heel. And bring the left arm across your yoga mat. Take your right hand to your block and please twist to your right. Now in the twisting, we want to keep the right thigh stable, and also you can keep your side waist equally long. Notice how this twist moves through you. And then exhale and come down and place your left shin back on the mat. Now keeping the knees a little bit wider, come back to a child's pose where we're going to stretch the arms out in front. Put the sides of the pinkies to the floor, the sides of the heels of the hands to the floor, and reach the arms forward like an arrow. You can organize your knees so that they're just outside of your rib cage. Reach your hips strongly back towards your heels. And as you press down on the pinky side of the hands, raise the wrists and your forearms up off the floor. So there's a tiny lift going all the way into the inner armpits. Breathe into the parachute of your back body. Now roll yourself back up to kneeling and rest your hands in your lap. And of course, you can sit on a chair, you can sit cross-legged. You don't have to kneel if it's not comfortable. Let's drop attention back down to the base chakra. What's happening there now? And then to the second chakra. Does it feel more tamasic, more rajasic, or more sattvic? and the third chakra. And asking again, how does it feel? More tamasic, more rajasic, more sattvic? I'd like you to open your eyes and you can watch here again, please. First, as many of you know, I'm going to have to straighten my mat because I just have to. I could resist it, but I can also justify it based on saucha, cleanliness. So we're going to take these two blocks, and some of you will also want to use a blanket. So if I put the block on the medium setting, that is going to be for the shoulder blades. The second block, I'm going to put on the medium setting because I know my flexibility, but some of you will want to have a blanket for your head. So this goes like this. So the shoulder blades go on the block so that they're right at the edge of the block, and your head on the next block. What you can do is check that you've got the distance overhead for both arms. You're not going to use it right away, but you have the distance. And then we take the arms out into a T shape. Now, a couple considerations. If you're going to put a blanket under your head, it would be because, for example, your chin might be poking up towards the ceiling. Or you feel like you can't relax your shoulders down towards the floor, like they're rolling up towards the ceiling. In which case, putting a blanket under your head is a good idea. The block under your upper back is very specifically at the bottoms of the shoulder blades. So once you come into position, welcome your eyes to close. And bring your attention down to the solar center, down to the third chakra. And simply observe what's happening there right now. You're not evaluating or narrating, only observing. Let's start to imagine a little fire in the solar plexus, a right-sized fire, neither too bright nor too smoldering. Now this right-sized fire in the solar plexus, just bright enough to guide you on your path, not so dim that you cannot see where you're going, and not so bright that it's blinding you or others. Imagine now that this right-sized fire lights up like an internal cave, a place that you can go for refuge and direction, a place to go when you have a question about discernment or wisdom in action. Now enjoying that right-sized fire, you raise your arms up towards the ceiling and overhead. You may choose to hook your thumbs so the hands support each other and therefore your arms. Observe the quality of your breath now and how you are tending to the fire. And then take the arms out into a T shape. Let's lower the hands down next to the hips, please. What you can do is lift your hips and sit on the backs of your hands. And then press both hips, both thighs, calves, and heels down towards the floor. And as you're ready to raise up, lift your sternum to come up. Alternatively, you can just roll sideways, but coming off of a medium block is a little bit awkward. Please cross your ankles and come to Sukhasana. Now we'll take this down to a Shavasana before I teach you the chanting practice with this chakra. So what I'm going to recommend is that you lie on your back with your two blocks, come to Baddha Konasana, and then take a blanket to cover the eyes and the head, sometimes called a pratyahara blanket. And when you cover there, think of it as you're kind of containing that fire. We don't want it rushing up to the mind and the eyes and making all kinds of ideas for you, making a whole new to-do list for you. So we want the fire to be right-sized and purposeful at the solar, at the third chakra. Rest your hands where they're most at ease for you. Welcome everything to become relatively still.
The fire just has a quiet radiance to it. The water element glimmers with a quiet reflectivity. And respecting the inner quiet that is calling us all back home. Stay with the inner quiet. You're still simmering. You're keeping a sense once more of that inner quiet. Simply reach up to remove the blanket from the eyes without the eyes getting activated. And so stay in your position. Only remove the blanket, but keep your gaze down towards the inner fire. Don't let the eyes wander away. There's many distractions available in the mind. Right now, they are not very interesting to you. You're not shopping for thoughts right now. Om Bhava Svaha.
Tatsaveto Varenyam Margo Devas Yadimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayatam Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsaveto Varenyam Bhargo Devas Yadimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayatam Om Bhurva Swaha Tatsaveto Varenyam Bhargo Devas Yadimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayatam. You may now lightly deepen your breathing. Welcome it to come to you. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. Please bring your knees up to center and transition to rest momentarily before rising back up to sit. And place one hand in the lap of the other. Each sound is 5 times, and we do it 5 times. Starting with the sound lum at the root. Lum, 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 lum. 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 Second chakra, Wam. Wam, 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 wam. Third chakra, the sound is Ram, R-A-M. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Ram, 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 ram. Please raise your hands to your heart. May the fire in the belly be right-sized. May it be bright enough to light the path, not so bright that it obscures your view or obscures the view others can have of you. May it not be so dim that you find yourself compensating or feeling self-doubt. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.